Hello, on behalf of Reading Refugee Support Group, a very warm welcome to Fragments. I'm Fiona Talkington and I'm very honoured to be your guide for this evening. We're here in the heart of Reading. Wherever you are, I hope that you'll be able to take part as well. We really welcome your comments in the chat, some supportive comments and questions too. We'll have a Q&A session right at the end of the evening. And we're going to see 6 films tonight, part of a project which took part as a writing project during the last lockdown, an extraordinary set of events leading up to participants eventually coming together when it was safe to do so and sharing their writing. And the films that you're going to see are what they brought to the very first time they met. So this is the films of the first rehearsals, the first encounters, what powerful experiences we're going to see this evening. And I will be talking to all the participants just before we see the film. So lots of very interesting, incredibly moving things are in store tonight. So do stay with us. We're going to just say hello quickly to the participants. So a quick hello, a quick wave from Caleb, Elizabeth, Oliver, Barty, Mary, Tabo, and Jude and Alice. We'll talk to them all a bit more later on, but thanks very much indeed for being with us this evening. I'm going to talk to Jude Haste from RRSG in just a moment. But first, I'd like to introduce you to Alice Mpofu-Coles, former chair of the Reading Refugee Support Group. She's also trustee of Reading City of Sanctuary and ambassador of the City of Sanctuary. Alice, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I wonder if you might be able to set the scene for us and tell us a bit more about the work of RRSG and why it's so important.
Thank you very much, Fiona. Welcome everybody tonight. I hope you'll enjoy the show. RRSG has been there as a pillar for the community of Reading and around Berkshire. And for over 25 years, it has given a life thread to every one refugee a day to keep on going. And most of the things that they do are amazing, and some of them are not seen. But today you're going to see some of the things that are done behind the scene with amazing people that include and highlight refugees in so many ways and the talents that they bring in the community and across the country as a whole. RRSG now is in collaboration with the Reading City of Sanctuary, which is a wide a national movement under the City of Sanctuary. They are doing a wave of different things across the country. And one of the main things that RRSG and Reading City of Sanctuaries are doing is about education. And like we've got scholarships now opening up with the University of Reading, and art work, which is amazing, in collaboration with different students, people who are artistic, expressing themselves through different ways, music, football, cooking, lessons that they are doing. So on the whole, RRSG does a lot of other things that are unimaginable in the City of Sanctuary together. So I'm hopefully today people are going to see the artistic part of everything that people do, that they bring to this world and share. Sometimes the voice is not the only thing that helps. Sometimes it is the art that makes a difference. Thank you.
Alice, thank you so much. Do stay with us. I hope you enjoy the evening too. And I'm joined now by Jude Haste. Jude, you have lived, breathed, eaten this project for months, the driving force behind Fragments. How did it come about?
Thank you, Fiona, and welcome and good evening, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Fragments came about on on the back of work that we were doing last year in the first lockdown, we were lucky to get emergency COVID response funding from the Arts Council. And so we started to do some theatre projects then, looking at writers and authors from around the world. And then with Yasmin Shamma, who is a professor in creative writing at Reading University, we looked at making our own pieces of writing and then sharing them directly to a wider audience through digital theatre and speaking. So really, this is a development of what we did last year. And we were really thankful to get funding in January to make this project possible. It is really a playwriting project, which is new for us because previously we'd been more looking at poetry and prose. And a very big kind of important part to us was to spend time researching and developing and finding out, current issues, what's important right here, right now to the people that we're working with. And giving them a platform then to kind of come up with their own headlines, if you like, in a world where so often, many of us don't have control over the sort of general messages being put out by mainstream media about how refugees or asylum seekers are portrayed. And perhaps many of the issues that we are looking at today are issues that maybe people experience in isolation, or they don't feel safe to be able to just say, hey guys, this is the reality of the world as we see it. So really that was a big part of this project. And what you're going to see, they are scratch performances. We spent 10 weeks on Zoom, spending a lot of time talking, a lot of time writing and researching news articles that back up what we think. So, that's kind of to do with the style of the living newspaper, which took place after the Great Depression in America, where citizens and people felt oppressed by, all sorts of, situations. So they used theatre to write plays quickly and take them out, script in hand, to share with people they felt should be seeing it. So I hope that helps explain.
And I know that I mentioned that the films were made at the first time everybody came together,
Yes.
which was such a special moment. What did it feel like for you when you saw everyone coming together? What was the feeling in the room?
I tell you what, well, I think everybody perhaps watching this has experienced, well, the word everyone uses is unprecedented times. But to come together, again, part of the aims of this project was to create a community theatre group. So to create a cohesive group identity where people, so coming together, we were able to improvise, and people were amazing at just saying, hey, I want to try it like this. Could you read this part? Can you just try that out? And that was a joy for me because, on Zoom, often we're just in our own little box. And obviously that's been very valuable. But to be in the space with a script in your hand and a highlighter pen and go, right, let's try it like this. People were so supportive of each other's work. And what you're going to see shows those very first formative stages of taking it off the paper and into the space.
Jude, thanks very much. We'll talk to you again a little bit later on. I'm sure we'll have lots more questions when we've seen all the films as well. But Elizabeth, I wonder if you could join me now, because we're going to see your film first of all. Thank you. Thanks very much, Elizabeth. It's lovely to see you here. Just thinking of Jude describing that moment when you all came together, what was the feeling in that room for you?
Very emotional. We've been on Zoom, like Jude mentioned earlier, for over 10 weeks, and just seeing each other in the little boxes, and then getting to finally meet everybody was very emotional.
I'm intrigued by the title of your film. Tell me what it's called.
We Are Not Party to the Theft.
And what's behind your choice of title?
Behind my choice of title is the right to protest, and I wanted to bring it out in a way that would leave people in suspense. So what is it about? Why is she saying theft? And yet it's a lot to do with human rights. Why did she choose theft? Well, I chose theft simply because it represents one of those very many evils that end up in human rights abuses.
And is it about the theft of our rights? And is there a particular aspect of the women's part in this that you wanted to highlight?
Oh yes, for many years, women have been partitioned, for lack of a better word, into childbearing, child caring, into homes, kitchen and cooking, and the politics has been left to the men. But I feel it is time for women to come up and rise and speak and champion and advocate for change.
Elizabeth, thanks very much. We're going to see the film number 1 now, called We Are Not Party to the Theft.
In the country of Cameroon on the African continent, the people get ready to participate in an upcoming election. However, due to the nationwide internet shutdown, government cracked down on the opposition, police brutality, and several human rights were lessened in the run-up to the elections. The people believe that the elections were rigged. They therefore decided to hold special demonstrations in the capital, Uganda, in a bid to fight for their rights and freedoms. Dark clouds form in the sky, the rain falls and thunder rolls. However, the people march on without fear. Procession is made by a group of soldiers.
We refused the sham election. We were not party to the theft. We refused the sham election. We were not party to the theft. We refused the sham election. We were not party to the theft. We refused the sham election. We were not party to the theft. We are retired people. We are sick and tired of being sick and tired. We.
Who is the leader of this disorganized group? Why are you disturbing my peace?
I am.
Oh, so it's you again. Why are you disturbing my peace? Why are you polluting my environment with your noises?
Because we are tired. We feel neglected and cheated by the government.
Neglected? Oh. How have we neglected you now? Yet we are here to protect you.
In what way? By telling us we are polluting the environment with noise and stopping us, we will continue to protest peacefully.
We will kill you all of you, and your bodies will be put in the mass grave. Nobody will say anything about it.
It's no news. You have always protected your selfish government while brutalizing those who speak against your government. You have killed so many young men and women and sent some to jail as political prisoners and others to exile just because of your corruption. We are ready to fight for justice.
Yes.
We are more than ready to fight. Fight we must and we will. We will overcome.
Oh, shut up there. Who asked your opinions? I was only talking to your rascal leader. You dare not. I would arrest and block you just like the others. You will all be silenced. If you spend 1 week in a prison cell without food and hard labor, you will learn all of your lesson.
Arrest me if you want. I am protesting because I don't want the younger generation to go through this, and for the widows and orphans who are crying because of your evil deeds. We gathered here today are doing this for future generations.
History will judge you.
All of you, up to your fourth generation.
Whoa. Sorry to burst your human rights bubble. We run this city. We have all manners of state-of-art weaponry. And you come with us with nothing? We have seen your type before. Arrest her! You guys, take her, arrest her, all of them!
Not today, soldiers!
We will continue to protest!
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That was We Are Not Party to the Theft, the first of tonight's 6 films as part of the Fragments project, a writing project by members of Reading Refugee Support Group during the 3rd lockdown. And all the films were made at the very first meeting, the first time that they read their scripts together. Do keep your comments coming in. It's so nice to have your support. Just a couple here. Such an inspirational project. Really looking forward to hearing everyone's stories, says Eleanor. And Justin just wants to say, hi everyone. Really excited to hear your stories. And I'm going to talk to Oliver next before we see his piece, Hostile Environment. Ollie, it's very good to see you. I know you're there. Yes. Hello. Hi, Ollie. Welcome. It's really good to see you. What is the hostile environment of your piece?
Hostile environment is basically my life experience, living in the UK, having no status, being vulnerable from being able to work and having access to being able to just live a normal life with everybody else. And that alone just came together. I decided to put a poem to it and just be able to elaborate my story to everybody else. It was also me being able to free myself as well, in a type of way, because it's something that I've kept inside for too long.
Why is writing or music, I know you're involved in art and drama, why are they all so important to you? What do they give you?
Art is just a form of, it's a hobby for me. It's something that I enjoy doing. It's a form of creativity, being able to express life aspect, another way of showing, being a voice. It's a voice as well, in all types of ways. That's why I like my art, I like my music, and I also like my poetry. And I find it sometimes that it's hard to express yourself in ways verbally and talking. So art is a big platform for me to be able to express myself, and hence why I put myself in this project, to be able to not just tell my story, but also to be able to tell everybody else's story. So there's an image to it, and where there's not really much of a voice. I feel like this is a project where we're able to create a voice now, through our art and music and poetry, and especially the drama as well. It really kind of freed me, made me, it took me out of the hostility that I was at.
Ollie, thank you. This isn't the last we'll see of you tonight. We'll be seeing you on our screens a bit later on as well. But for now, thank you. This is Hostile Environment.
Hostile environment. An invisible chokehold.
What's your status?
I don't have one. I feel alien. In care homes on my own. Well, 2014 now, 2021. Time don't stop. Art and design is what I'm about. My daily thoughts at 2 p.m. Only God knows. The things that I hope and dream for. A scooter for my child. A birthday cake maybe. The memories that I create. Just because I'm not seen doesn't mean I can't be heard. I'll stand behind these bars barricaded.
Who are you?
I'm a father. I'm also a provider. Have been neglected, been left in a limbo. I will not pass this on. My stab wounds cannot take the little things that I have left. If you ask me for help,
Could I be there for you?
I wouldn't say no, because I know how it feels. Can you imagine? I waited. I wrote to you. I did what I could, you know. I wrote to you again. No response.
What are you doing about it?
Oh, I guess waiting to fail.
You are eligible for deportation.
Here we go, waiting for that one. Age 37. With £36 a week for 5 years. These tears touch me. Because I still have hope.
What's your status?
Come on now. You know what? My status is love. My status is loyalty. My status is my time. And time don't stop for nobody. So please don't deprive me. For you cannot take the little things that are left of me. My daily thoughts. A scooter for my daughter. A birthday cake maybe. You know, I may be poor in life, but I really am rich in love, which keeps me strong, which keeps me going. I can give you my time, but if you feel it's not precious enough for you, I feel as though I'm not worthy of you anymore. But there's no stronger battle in this country but the battle we're fighting in the Home Office. I've been fighting this battle for a long time from a young age. I mean, 16, 17. I don't feel scared no more. You know what? The UK is my home. The UK is my family. The UK is my roots. Age of 7. It touched me because I still have hope. It gives me strength. I still have hope. I've got a lot of fire in me. I'm taking time to work it out though. My energy, people feel me. I am here. I am present. I still have hope.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that that's not the last we'll see of you this evening. Thanks for joining us this evening for Fragments, 6 films from Reading Refugee Support Group. You're very much part of it too. We'd love you to take part in the chat, ask questions, or just put your comments in the chat box, and we'll have a Q&A session with all the participants a little bit later on. And you can join us on Twitter as well, at Reading Refugees. Well, the next film up is called Violent Bureaucracy. I'm going to have a chat with Mary now. Mary, thanks very much for joining us this evening. We should feel safe in our own homes. It's been an extraordinary time in all sorts of ways, and a lot of people have been talking about the isolation that we've all felt at times. But violence isn't something that we should fear in our homes. How did your story, your idea for this film begin?
Oh goodness, I've been in touch with so many disabled people over the years, many, many years, and the stories of terror around decisions that are being made that impact our lives have just grown and grown and grown. The stories of suicide because of benefits being withdrawn, the stories of people starving to death because benefits have been withdrawn, And then, you know, the impact that the withdrawal of benefits has on your life, even if you can still feed yourself, because they are often a gateway to other forms of help. So really just listening to many, many people over the years and knowing it for myself.
Important to find the people who are on your side, because hopefully there is somebody out there, that there are people, and we know from the support group that there's a fantastic sense of belonging and family. But where do you find your solidarity and supporters?
You know, that's such a good question, because before this project, and especially before that first time of meeting other people in the project, I would have said the main solidarity has only been with each other, with other disabled people, and we experience very little support from non-disabled people. But what came out so clearly during the filming and meeting people was the immense similarities and parallels between other people, the refugee and asylum seekers' struggles and disabled people's struggles. And I felt a totally new solidarity coming from that.
And what did you enjoy about the process on this first day, about turning it eventually into this film?
Oh, it was just lovely creating with other people, because I write poetry and that's a solitary project and I love doing it, but oh my goodness, sharing the energy of creativity with other people is amazing and thrilling, and I couldn't have wanted it to be any better.
Thank you so much, Mary. Let's watch the film now. It's called Violent Bureaucracy.
Thank you.
Sound of a drink being stirred and toast being spread and cut. Then we hear the clack of a letterbox, a chair being scraped back, and metal crutches clanking slowly across the floor.
Oh God, oh no.
We hear fumbling with the mobile phone buttons, and then,
hey Mariam. Mariam, what's wrong?
Brown envelope just arrived. I can't open it. I can't.
Hey, my friend, I understand. No rush. Do you want me to come round?
What if they're going to drag me back there, Bex? I can't go through it again. They said I had 2 years ESA, but it's only 9 months since I won my appeal.
Mariam, love, they've been doing that to some folks, but it might be something else. You never know, though, with the Department for Witless Pen Pushers.
But I can't face it, Bex. I had to manage on a bus and a train to get there last time, and they forgot to help me off the train, and if I hadn't thrown my crutches out and yelled...
Oh, I remember. And when you finally got there, didn't the receptionist make sure everyone in the waiting room heard her telling you off for being 10 minutes late?
Yeah, and then they kept me waiting 2.5 hours. Oh, no, those people are as cold as ice. They don't even look at you, just ask their stupid questions.
Which you've already answered on the form, the size of a book.
Yes. And they look at their screens as they type in their lives. Oh, they just make up stuff, Bex. And do you remember your friend whose first language wasn't English, and they made him sign agreements he didn't understand? And then they sanctioned him for not doing those things.
Listen, I'm coming round. You can't open that damn envelope on your own. I'll be with you in 15 minutes.
Thanks, Bex. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You better bring a box of tissues with you, though.
Well, make sure the ramp's not blocked and get that kettle on. See you in a mo.
Oh, that warmth of friendship really comes across. But I think one of the lines that really stood out for me was, they don't even look at you, and how many of us have experienced that, just not feeling that we're even seen. Incredibly moving stories, incredibly moving writing that we're hearing tonight. Thank you to everyone who's worked so hard to put these films together. And thank you for all your comments too. And Claire's summed so much of this evening up by saying just very beautiful and moving. Moving on to film number 4 now, and it's a pleasure to introduce Mary to have a little chat before we see your film, Mary. Good to see you. So often, I've spoken to you a few times, and I always get the impression when talking to you that you have this deep love of your homeland of South Sudan. You make it seem like a place that you would like to take us all and embrace the beauty of, which for me makes your film so bittersweet, because you wrap us up in that warmth. And yet there's something else going on too. And your piece is called My Story. I guess we don't all just have one story. There are many stories. What made you home in on this particular narrative for your piece?
Hi, Fiona. This piece actually, it tells story about myself, that when I was very little and tragic struck my family. And why I'm telling this story is just for people to know what is happening in the 60s and 70s and up to early 80s. Because now in Sudan, if you're telling something like that, people will not believe it. It's just like a dream or something. My country has changed so rapidly, but not to a healthy, situation. Is really getting worse every single day. So that's why I want to tell this story, and and for people to know that this South Sudan, people are talking about it. Once it was a very peaceful place that people can sleep outside, people can enjoy each other, like I do mainly in my community in Kabasham. It always reminds me home, because where I live now in Hanimai, the close is just exactly like where I used to live in Juba. People are so open, people like to help. And Reading in particular, they're all good people. So things like this are not happening anymore in South Sudan. That's why I'm telling this story.
Do you think telling our story or our stories changes us in some way?
Definitely it does. It's just, it makes me feel a little bit better. It makes me feel like there are some people are suffering like I did in the past, but they're not saying anything, and they think that they're alone, but they're not. So there are so many of us.
And putting it together, that day when you all came together, I know I keep asking people, what was it like? I wish I had been there. What was it like?
It was fantastic. It was beaming with a smile. Everybody's just welcoming. It's just because of the social distancing. We were like, almost like need to cuddle each other, but obviously you're not allowed because of the rules. And it was lovely. doing this piece because in the boxes, like sometimes it's difficult, you can show somebody, but when you're reading it out, we have everybody in this panel that we work together, Mary and everybody, Elizabeth. You know, when they say, when you read your piece and they'll say, oh, I think you need to add more, or maybe you need to do something here, or you have to add here. And it's a great help working together. And it was a lovely day also to come together. We enjoyed filming and we enjoy having the snacks. We just so much laughter.
Thank you. Mary, let's see your film now. It's called My Story.
Thank you.
This story is a true story that happened in Africa in the 1960s in Juba, a town in South Sudan, a beautiful town with lovely people. Although war broke out in the 60s, it only affected the men, as women and children were not targeted. In today's South Sudan, everyone is targeted in war, even unborn children. As part of a family growing up in Juba, everyone had a part to play, whether child or an adult, boy or girl. Everyone had a role and responsibility in passing on knowledge, culture, and a way of life. Many of the elderly who were strong people now have either died or got scattered all over the world, so stories like this are not written or told anymore.
I was about 4 years old, growing up with my brother, sister, and parents. In our tribe, the Bari tribe, if tragedy strikes a family, it is a tradition for the paternal side of the family, uncles and aunts, to take on the responsibility and governance of the children. I choose to share this story as the old ways of life and traditions are valuable and taught me so much. Yet, due to war, many communities in South Sudan are unable to live this way anymore. Hello, brother. I've just arrived from the village. I brought you some sugarcane, black-eyed peas, and sweet corn.
I welcome you, sister. It's nice to see you. KG, please take this food to the kitchen and make us some tea.
I came here today to see you and raise some concern about my sister's orphan grandchildren. My brother, you know just as I do, that in our tradition, it is responsibility of the paternal side of the family. But that wife of the children's uncle, I don't know what's going on her head. She's refusing.
Don't you think a husband should intervene? Because it is his responsibility to look after those orphans.
You know what happened to the youngest one?
Yes, she died. It's really sad because she was neglected, even while she was missing a mother.
Exactly, brother. We can't let that happen to the other two.
No, we can't, obviously, because you live in the village and there's no school nearby. I'll take them. Then they can go to school when they are 7 years of age.
Oh, brother. Now it will be your responsibility. That is so unusual. God will bless you for that.
Sister, stay here tonight and we'll feed them tomorrow. And then perhaps you'd like to stay a few more days to help them Saturday.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
You are welcome, sister.
Starting school was very interesting. I really enjoyed it until age 10 and after. The flashbacks started coming back. I was doing very well, top of the class and all that. The school is free until primary 6. After that, I have to pay. So after that, I had to withdraw. My great uncle was a busy man, a chief doing important things. So I didn't want to bother him. And I didn't want to ask for the fees. So therefore, I was no longer allowed to go to the classroom. So instead, I would climb up the tall trees opposite the school and peer into the classroom. The teacher saw this and offered to pay the fees for the exams. I did not take the teacher's offer, as I didn't feel able to ask my great uncle. So I still didn't sit it. When my great uncle Andrea found out, he was furious and paid for the exams, which I sat the following year. It was a strange and happy feeling.
Mary, thank you so much. I hope that we'll have another opportunity to hear more stories from you on another occasion. And again, thanks for your comments. That was powerful, and these stories are wonderful, thought-provoking pieces, and I feel so fortunate to see them. So thanks very much for being part of this evening too, and we'll save up your questions until we have time for a question and answer session after we've seen all 6 films. The next film is Caleb's story. So Caleb, do come and join me on the Zoom stage now. We'll have a quick chat before your film. Very good to see you. Caleb, when you knew you were going to take part in this project, did the idea for your story or what you wanted to share with us come quickly, or did you try lots of things? What was the process for you?
Okay, I said it came out so quickly because I've got the freedom of expression here.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
So
it didn't take me long to think about it.
You knew what you were going to wanted.
I knew what I was going to have to say, yes. Because there's nothing ready for me to think about, because I know what is happening in Zimbabwe. There's no freedom of expression. And why I called it Great Zimbabwe is because there's every mind there to make the country rich. But because of our leaders, they're smuggling all the good stuff and sending it out of the country and leaving us ordinary people living a life like this. That is why I decided I should call it Great Zimbabwe, because it is great for sure. We've got the gold mines, we can make our own tea. We've got our own sugar plantation where we can make sugar. We also grow tea, we grow coffee, there's everything. That is why I call it Great Zimbabwe. But because you are not allowed to make an opinion, you get arrested and then they investigate when you are in prison. You can't be arrested first and then investigate. They should investigate first and then lock you up. Like what I've just said now, I could not have said it, say if I was in Zimbabwe. I'll end up in prison. I'll be like sentenced before trial.
So taking part in this project, has it meant a lot to you to be able to say these things? And not just that, but to be able to involve your colleagues in the project, to hear other people read your words?
Yeah.
You enjoyed that?
I've really enjoyed it. Yes, yes, I have.
And we've seen you in other people's films this evening as well. Has it been rewarding to take part in what other people have written?
It has been really rewarding because it was like my first time speaking in front of a camera. I've never done that before. So I was just enjoying the experience to see what it's like, how it feels. Yes.
I think we should see more of you, Caleb. It's been great to see you. We'll have a chat with you further in the Q&A session. But for the moment, let's see your piece called My Great Zimbabwe.
We are standing in the street about to enter a bar. Look, before we go in, no politics, no religion.
Why is that then, Caleb?
Because we don't know where the CPUs are.
CPUs?
Crime Prevention Unit. If you don't agree about no politics, no religion, I'm not going in with you. We'll buy the beers in an off license and drink them at home.
Okay, mum's the word.
We pass through the gate, into a fenced yard, and then into the bar. Inside it is very noisy, so noisy that the jukebox is drowned. Conversation is difficult. Later, we are walking along a quiet street in the distance, in the light of a street lamp. Two groups of men pass each other, and suddenly there's a lot of noise, shouting, and the roar of an engine. From around a corner, an armed truck appears. There's louder shouting, slamming of doors, and the truck drivers off. Now there's only one group of men. It is safe here. John is okay. MDC Alliance. He's not police. The CPUs are out tonight.
Hey, they always are. Do you know about the CPUs, Michael?
Well, if that's who we saw tonight, in the street, I guess it's sort of secret police.
Supporters of ZANU-PF, always employed by the government, always in plain clothes, they listen.
Can you ever tell who?
Only if a friend wants you to be careful about someone you might have recognized.
Are they always men?
One or two women, but they always work with men.
Hey, sometimes they work alone in a bar. If a single man goes to the toilet alone with a phone in his hand, he might be calling in, especially if there's a truck nearby.
Sounds like the stars of the old East German secret police. 1 in 7 East Germans was a Stasi informer.
This is how we live here in Zimbabwe.
Hey, another beer, lad?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Caleb, thanks very much. You've got a fan club going on here as well. You're a natural, says one person. And thanks coming in from Christy as well, being so beautifully curated and amazing stories. Well done, everyone, and better than Netflix. There we are. Tubbo's going to join me next for the 6th of our films this evening. Tubbo, thanks very much indeed for being here tonight.
Thank you very much for having me, and I'm very happy to be here tonight to be showing the amazing work that we've created in a short space of time.
Tubbo, this is the last film we're going to see, and we'll have a chance to talk to you straight afterwards as well.
Yeah.
It's so often we hear your voice standing up for others and for the rights of others. And it feels incredibly moving to hear you being you and the power and the warmth that comes from you. How did you feel about the process of taking part in this?
The process of taking part for me started quite a while ago, actually, especially on this particular piece. Because this piece is not the original. The original was much shorter, so just for me. But at the time of writing the original one, I didn't think it was ready. I didn't think it was the right time to bring it out because the political environment was extremely visceral, and it was written, I think it was 2020 January, between January and February. And as in, when I was writing it, I've actually got something that I've written to try and explain what it is when I describe it as The Margins of Innocence. It is a poem that I wrote at the beginning of 2020 before the pandemic. I was at the University of East London attending the Olive course. It highlights the manner in which the innocence of childhood and youth can be stripped away through marginalization in plain sight of everybody, specifically through systematic, institutionalized racism. It is the thoughts of an asylum seeker in the grips of bitter fights within oneself, upon the realization that the hostile environment and the asylum system is actually marginalizing people that look similar and come from a similar place as the same said asylum seeker. It touches on the obvious. It makes reference to the future. It illuminates the obscure, and it closes with questions that, through the passage of time, have partly been answered. Remember, I wrote this before I knew there was a pandemic, okay? It delves deep into the psyche of one who is in permanent lockdown, one who thinks it is only happening to them, only to realize after reaching a safe space that it is happening to others too. And they are not alone. Originally, it was the thoughts of just one asylum seeker. It has now, with the passage of time, especially during this particular session, turned into the thoughts of many asylum seekers. Some are men, some are women, some are both men and women, and others are children. It leaves the reader in suspense. It makes reference to political actors. It's set on a few facts. It asks a few questions and gives a warning of potential isolation for others without actually knowing that a pandemic and isolation for all might actually be on its way. The Margins of Innocence praises organizations like Olive and the Reading Refugee Support Group for the great work that they do in supporting those who are on the extreme margins of society and have had their innocence taken away. It was written in no particular order by Caleb G, Elizabeth P, Ollie M, Jude H, and Tabo M. It was presented by the same people as well. The piece was also written because one can, in this country, write like this. We are in the UK, and originally, most of us are from countries that are dictatorships. And if we wrote like this and we made performances like this, for sure, once published like this, we could get abducted and killed for speaking out. That's why I wrote it.
Tabo, a brilliant introduction. Thank you so much. Let's watch Margins of Innocence.
Born ignorant, free, and innocent. Started crawling, dirty nappies, then walking. Feeling attractive, young, brave, and sweet. Walking barefoot, playing with dirty skin. Unsure of the world, hopeful of the world, looking at the Atlas, eager to explore all of the world. Bright eyes, bush-tailed, bright sun, no shoes. Dark nights make blindness like a bat. Bright skies light up the Milky Way in Africa. A candle provides a little radiant light at night.
If only it was in my dreams. If only I can go back home. If only I knew what it felt like to step back home. If only I knew, as a young child, they made me feel unworthy, you know. Go back home, Black Keith, they said to me. If only they knew. I'm a father. I've got kids now, you know. If only they knew. The darkness inside of me has disappeared, I feel. I feel like I'm unworthy sometimes. I feel like I've been deprived for a long time. I feel like I am who I am, but I also feel like I am what I am. The reality of it is, I feel like I am the product of your environment. It's what you've made me. You nasty, mean, non-productive environment. Your hostile environment. I was in penitentiary that is, institutionalized. I was locked up. It's not a joke. I was banged up. I was alone. So I realized I don't really belong here no more. I was in prison, bro. In prison. I was detained. I was deprived. But yet, you know what? I still belong here. I'm a product of your environment, you know. Please stop persecuting me with your hostile environments that you keep giving me. You showed me violence. You showed me also that you ain't too tolerant with stuff. You showed me many dark days. And you made me sleep on the streets for many months and years. You've deprived me, really. Yet still, I still stay strong. I smile. Yet still I rise. Yet still I pray with confidence. New millennium. New beginnings. Hey, a new home. Blood, trust me, listen, new loyalty is what I'm waiting for. Don't deprive me, your hostile environment.
Like apartheid, racial, ethnic, tribal hostility personified. Whilst drinking her tea and cake, Teresa's most undignified, nasty, horrible, amplified.
Go back home!
Even the UK has become ununified. First thought would be about my child. What will happen to my child in detention? What will cell be like? What will life in the cell be like for my child? What will be running through my child's mind? What crime has my child committed? What will the other inmates think about my child? What stories will my child share with his friends that he's an ex-convict? What if one of them is a pedophile? What basic needs will I give my child while in detention? What amount of trauma will my child experience? What about school for my child? What will I tell the child to explain on his record? What will I tell my family and my village people? What? Look over your left, look over your right. UK Border Force.
You have no rights when you're in my four walls.
UK detention centers. UK reporting centers. Train stations are no safe havens. Bus stations are now stopping and searching stations. I am only a single mother with a child in detention.
Cometh the Tory, cometh the lies. Cometh Cameron, cometh May, cometh Johnson. Former slave owner, current slave maker, future slave betrayer.
You have no rights. You don't belong here. Go back home.
It first happened when I was just 8 years old. I couldn't believe what I was being told. In hindsight, he was so bold. The smell of his dogs was fighting the smell of diesel. The sound of dogs barking was so frightening. My bones began to jingle. Farm laborers were in my gaze. The sighting of tractors, cows, and horses couldn't move my transfixed gaze. I was just taking a shortcut home, all alone, doing my best to get back home. Plastic football in my hand, I was in a white man's land. My mouth became dry with fear. I couldn't even muster a single tear. The way he approached me and made me crumble. As a young boy, plus the dogs, to this day it leaves me in genuine fear. Then I was 8, just 8, on the margins of innocent at 8. But it still happens today, even while this I'm here. I'm not back home, I'm right here. The chip, the twitch, the lack of trust, looking over is inevitable. Forever you're gonna be looking over.
You're not privileged because you don't belong here.
Hopes fade with hostility. Life flashes with hostility. There's possibilities with hostility.
Nasty, mean, horribleness comes with hostility. Extortion, rape, vulnerableness comes with hostility.
Warmth is at home. Safety is at home. Spices and good food are at home. Lights are at home. Family and contented are at home, but isolated and all alone at home. Hidden from the whole world at home. Facing the whole world from home. Disrespected, loathed, washed out, laid out, not allowed to think for yourself from home. So, what's next? What have you got planned? What are you going to do with your life? Washing dishes? Sweeping the floor? Sleeping on the floor? Babysitting? Walking to the shops? Mr. Lonely? Mr. Johnny, no mates? It's the number, the stigma. Imprisoned in the mind, eh? Imprisoned in the home. Oh. Warm, homely, same, busy people. Slight chance came from Olive. New horizons from Olive. Detention and bail discussed at Olive. Hostile environment, safe spaces at and of Olive.
I hope that you can all hear the loudest possible applause and solidarity for everything that you've done tonight. It's been a privilege speaking with you all and watching those films. I know there's lots of really, really lovely comments. Such humanity, we are all one at the end of the day. One day things will change. Thank you so much for what you are giving us all tonight, the gift of love. Another one, this piece is so powerful and enlightening. Your words are so moving. And moving and powerful are words that have cropped up so often. What a privilege to hear such personal, real life stories. Thank you for sharing such rawness and emotion. We stand with you. And another one reflected on the words of being in permanent lockdown. Thank you all very much. This is the moment to ask any other questions, or for any of the participants to ask questions of each other. And I'd like to bring Jude back as well, because having watched all the films now going out the end, or no, the middle, maybe just the start of this incredible project. Jude, huge congratulations, flowers, hugs, and all good things to all of you. What has it felt like for you this evening?
Do you know what? I am just thrilled to have such a fabulous team of people who, including every single writer who have made this happen. And, you know, it's just, you know, wonderful to see the work in its raw stages. You know, it is kind of like a beginning. So we will be continuing to work making performances and new material. Quite a few people will be going forward to do Lambda exams at the end of this month. So it's not like an end point. Seeing this tonight, I'm just very relieved. I want to do a huge thank you to Liam at AV Events for, you know, framing this so well. But yeah, I'm thrilled, and I hope everybody else feels pleased too.
There've been such lovely comments. I know that we've moved a lot of people, and someone just wrote tears, and it was so right. How could there not be tears for so many reasons? These things don't just happen. I know that you have put so much into it, and with the support of the Reading Refugee Support Group, but lots of other people. Would this be the moment to offer some thanks to the different people who've participated in all sorts of ways?
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. And also, I'd just like to add that in addition to other parts of this project, I want to do a massive thank you to Ira Putilova. They are a Russian refugee, non-binary refugee, and they have worked so hard during this project to specifically look at the role of sound in narrative. And I want to thank Ira for an incredible podcast, which will be coming out, and I'll be sharing with everybody soon after. I really need to thank the Arts Council and Terry Adams, Senior Project Manager and Diversity Lead. So a big thank you to the Arts Council, and to Olive at the London University, East London Uni. You have been a wonderful support. Also University of Reading, and really important to mention University of Bath Spa for the arts management support, with the 3 wonderful young MA students who have helped me enormously to make this project happen. So yeah, and many more people. There's probably many more I should thank, but that you know, thank you to everyone that's come and watched this, and thank you to the participants.
So where does it go from here? What do you do next?
Okay, so well, there's loads more new ideas bubbling in the pot. There's more you know, playwriting that's been happening that we haven't even had a chance to look at yet. And there are, you know, the project has developed new partnerships, so it's exciting to look now, take some time to look at how we do the next steps, because I feel like there is a kind of, you know, there's under the auspices of a community theatre group, we've got a clan of people who I'll be working with to make, you know, to make our next steps. And projects in the autumn, I would say. Watch out for the autumn.
Definitely will. I wonder if any of the participants want to come back and say anything after having watched all the films. They've all been stars on screen. Tabo.
Hello. Yes. Thank you very much for having me again. And thank you very much to everybody who has participated in the event and who has been working very, very hard behind the scenes to make the event as successful as it is so far. I just wanted to say something about something that I've seen, a common thread that I've seen in these pieces. One of the common threads that I've seen is pretty much a sort of isolation and a thread of being hindered from certain things that we all know are supposed to be human rights. And I wanted to inform a little bit about some of the things that we have had to learn as asylum seekers about our human rights. It is that, you see, many countries are signatory to what is to the Geneva Convention of Human Rights, and a signatory to the European Convention of Human Rights if they're in Europe. And one of the chief architects was a man, what's his name? I've forgotten his name, but he was sent by Winston Churchill to go to New York to go and help start the United Nations. And unfortunately, although he was one of the first people to meet Eleanor Roosevelt at the time to help start the United Nations, and then came back and then was involved in the drafting of the European Convention of Human Rights, and actually in the trial that led to, I think it was they were called the Nuremberg trials. Although that was done by somebody who, at the time, I'm going to be political here, was a Tory, what is happening today is almost like as if all that is being totally undone. You know, it's sad that this is where I think we are today. That it looks like things are slowly being undone, and instead of things being brought together and rights being pushed forward. One of the rights is the right to education and the right to healthcare, which we now know everybody has a right to healthcare, everybody has a right to education. And this is in the, I think it's called the ISACA, the International Covenant on Social, Economic, and Cultural Rights, ISACA. Now, in this document, which is part of the United Nations document, human rights, it's clear that it does not, once the country is signatory to it, the country should not differentiate and say a citizen, a non-citizen, a visitor, whatever. Everybody within those borders is supposed to be able to access those rights if at all they need them, you see. And it looks like certain people have been getting deprived of those rights for want of a better phrase, political gain, or that is not so truthful, that is not so honest. So I wish people in the media and people who are in the public, we are just ordinary people, could be able to create more drama like this by themselves and put it out there, because everyone has seen that so far all the pieces have not been Hollywood style pieces. It's with good reason. It's because we would like everybody to feel that they can do the same thing too, regardless of where they are, regardless of their situation, because it is usually through movies and through art that movements can happen and people can change their perception of what they want their societies to be like. And it is only then that laws can be changed. So yeah, that's all. But I'd like to say again to everybody, thank you very much, and it is fantastic.
Thank you, Thabo. Couple of questions. Joe asks, what are your aspirations for these wonderful pieces? Jude, you said watch this space. Maybe something will happen in the autumn. And Thabo, you touched upon the importance, the really vital importance of using the arts as a means of expression. But Jude and maybe others, each individual piece is a story, is its own golden creative nugget. Are there lots of different ways you could take each one, do you think, Jude?
Yeah, I mean, I think really it's about the current times, and it's giving people a license to speak about what it is they're most passionate about and, you know, feel is most important right here, right now. And in a way, I'd like to ask the others what they think, because this is the very way in which I work. But yeah, there's a lot of change happening, both good and bad change. And really, it's just documenting that in some ways, and creating our own personal versions through our own experiences of reflecting back to an audience what is happening in the world and where we would like to see, you know, ourselves go in the future and others in similar situations. So,
and maybe there are elements of each one that would want to go in different directions, in the way that Tabo's piece expanded with the bringing in of other writers and participants, and some seem sort of really intimate. And as we were talking with Mary about that sense of story and being changed through the telling of stories. So maybe it's after tonight. Now, in an ideal world, we'd all be there together, and it would be that after show chat of we could do this, we could do that.
Yeah, I think research and development wise, we have very different pieces, and it would be incredible to make a larger show of, I love the fragments notion, the fragmented way of many experiences in society. I love turning that into looking at the practices of theatre that look at montage and how you present work. We could do a lot more work on that, and on the acting side of things, and actually being in a space and developing those skills. So that's what we'll be up to.
So if anyone, I can't necessarily see everyone's hand going. Is that your hand, Mary?
Yes, I can absolutely see a way that the stories of disabled people can be developed, because number one, there are refugees and asylum seekers who have become disabled either before they reach these shores or after they reach these shores. And their stories are the same and different to the stories of, you know, disabled people who've lived here all their lives. And to me, you know, that was the richness of working with the people that you see today and that you've heard from today. And that's what I would love to be able to develop, so that those refugees and those asylum seekers can make their voices heard too.
Absolutely. That resonates a little bit with another question. What was the experience like as participants dealing with all these themes? Was it therapeutic or challenging? Both.
It was challenging.
Challenging.
Yeah, putting so many emotions in the same thing, happiness, sadness. So yeah.
And how do you feel, having seen the way everyone has now met those challenges this evening?
Well, I see a unified group that's happy to work together, and a happy group really, because we were meeting online and we would be exhausted in a few minutes time, but when we met physically with each other, we didn't even want to leave. So it was great. So I see a unified group that's looking forward to many more projects.
I really hope so, and I hope to be there in person. This is a question for Ollie. The question says, you are such a natural at writing and drama. Is this a passion that you wish to pursue in future life, dreams, plans?
Uh, yes, it is a passion. It's always been a passion. And first of all, I'd like to thank God for the opportunity that I got to meet everybody that's part of the project, especially how I got to meet Jude. I call her the angel in disguise, and how everybody else came across as well, where I was already writing from before, and just thinking how to put everything out to the world, and for us to have a voice. And when I came to Reading, it was just things just manifested to itself, and it came to light. And yeah, and how I even came across meeting Jude with the project, it was just like a light beam that came in my head and said that I have to do it. And with that, meeting everybody, creating a family, and with meeting everybody, coming from a different background, which I didn't know, and made my experience feel a bit lighter, less weight off my shoulder. But it also made me feel like it's a passion to continue doing what I'm doing, because the more we do this, the more it's going to create a voice for everybody to have a change and work with it. But yeah, like Mary said, I've never met anyone with disability where that comes from where I've come from with that. So meeting her, and it was just like, wow, there was an aura that was just like the energy. I thought like this is something that it's a God's gift for us to continue. And when his writing's already been done, with the marvelous Jude Hayes, we're going to continue to do more. So yeah, writing, music, and art is my passion, and yeah, you should be seeing more of me in the near future. Thanks for the question.
Brilliant, thank you. There are some more questions, but I think we're beginning to run out of time. But if anyone's got like a one-word answer to this one, have you made any new discoveries about yourself during COVID and the lockdowns? So any one-word answers? Hard one, isn't it?
Yeah.
More drama, more music, more art, more coming together and doing things, perhaps.
I discovered Caleb's got an incredible voice. That you are, Caleb. I'd like to ask you if you think the same.
Well, I think we've seen the growth of Caleb's fan club this evening, so I hope we're going to hear more from you, Caleb.
I was going to say encouraging. I've realised that I'm encouraging to other people as well, to help, and other people did the same thing as well. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I would say togetherness.
Togetherness.
Humanity.
All these important things that we can take away from this evening. Jude, I'm just going to ask you to have a final word about filling in some questionnaires, and
great.
So you've got
very, very briefly. This has been made possible by your public funding from the Arts Council, and it would be so important for us to gauge your feedback and your responses to the work. There's a 2-minute short questionnaire form. It will be being sent to you via the booking platform you booked your ticket on. But if you've joined us on Facebook Live and you don't, you haven't used the ticket platform, I believe you should be able to find a link to the Google form. Please, 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 just take a few minutes. Let us know your thoughts. It matters to us and to the participants, to all of us, and it will really help us going forward to do more work and develop and build on what we're doing so far. Thank you. And we've got an exciting surprise now, and I think Fiona's going to tell you what it is, but I think there's some pretty excited people who are waiting quite sidelines. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. And any further information you'd like from the Reading Refugee Support Group, just go to their website, where you can also make donations as well. Huge thanks to you all. Thanks very much for joining us. Been a pleasure having so many people following along this evening. Thanks to Jude and to everyone, and to Liam as well, being the master of the technology. Brilliant. And we're going to end with some music. And this is a brand new music video called Supposed to Be by Vocal Networking and Ollie and Bless, who's a rapper from Woodley. And the music track was made as an adaptation to Oliver's monologue, Hostile Environment. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. This is Supposed to Be.
They don't understand me, no. That's why I feel so alone. This is what it is when I feel low. Creeping through the places I call home. They don't understand me, no. That's why I feel so alone. This is what it is when I feel low. Creeping through the places I call home.
I moved here, age 7, no with no stress. 30 years and I'm still battling my status, I want no less. And still I see no progress. It's seeming like there's no way through this process. Like trying to run a marathon with no legs. My dad took a trip to Her Majesty's, I was 14. I had to go to a secure unit for some support team. My brother stayed at home, he's got his family to feed. These days I haven't seen my mom since I was 4 or 3. Proud father man, I raised my kids. Hardly have no contact with my brother that I came in with. I've been there from the get-go, I should have the right to stay and live. No status creates limits, doors I can't break for it, but puts a strain of relationships. And do you know how difficult it is? Trying to raise some peace for solicitors and shit, and they tell you can't work. How ridiculous is this? Puts you in predicaments. I've gotta eat, I've gotta live, you know I gotta provide. So I'm forced to hit the road again. Suicidal thoughts running rapidly, no control of them. I can't speak about this thing cause I'm a grown man, but if I don't, it's gonna swallow me whole again. I live for today because tomorrow's never promised, fam. Deprivation and hunger is now upon a man. My application costs 3 bags for me to stay and live, but at any time they can take me back to a foreign land.
They don't understand me, no. That's why I feel so alone. This is what it is when I feel low. Creeping through the places I call home. This is what it is. 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 How am I supposed to live like this? No.
I have no identity, unidentified. A proud warrior, fed up but won't give up in life. Exhausted, but the closer I get to the finish line, I stay hopeful. Hoping it's time no longer on my side. They can teach me anytime. Send me back to the Congo where I don't have any life. The strangest feelings, the feeling I'm feeling deep inside is they can separate me from my children. And that's exactly where my heart resides. Nobody told me about my status till I was 21. Social services left me now I'm grown, that's when the stress begun. Pick up a run with never an option, I had no place to go. Police began and bribes, so I got kicked out of my baby mums. 11 years, so many tears a day, she took my kid. I don't blame her with police running up in my crib. I never had any options for anything I did. I had mouths to feed, so it would starve my kids, so hit the strip. And people understand, but they don't understand. I'm trying to raise a man, but I don't want a hand. I'm trying to raise some peas, but I ain't got a bank. I can't for all my peeps, so many you have to thank. Little Shimmers King's Cross Church, the ones who held me down. My sister who housed me when I was out, she gave me the couch. People here then bought me food, so I didn't go without. Yeah, I was out here moving bricks so I could build a house.
They don't understand me, no. That's why I feel so alone. This is what it is when I feel low. Creeping through the places I call home. This is what it is. I'm just trying to make a living. This is what it is. I'm just trying to feed my kid. This is what it is. I'm just trying to get the same right. How am I supposed to live like this? No. How am I supposed to live? But I'm transparent. From the age of 16 with no parent. How am I supposed to know? Have to pay rent. I feel hopeless. Hopefully that one day I'm gonna call bless to take me out this mess. My trials and tribulations got me facing timing. I'm feeling unidentified, I don't know if I'm living. I gotta wipe away the tears so you can see the vision. I gotta wipe away the tears so you can see the vision.
Listen, a massive shout out to Vocal Networking, Oliver and the rapper Bless from Woodley. You've nailed it. It's such a pleasure to see creativity in action. A brief thank you from me to everybody coming. And if you are feeling able to, there are links on our slides now to RRSG's donate on www.rrsg.org.uk/donate. So you can see that there if you feel donate. All proceeds will go to help refugees in Berkshire and elsewhere. Thank you so much for coming and take good care of yourselves. Good night.